Meaghan and I, having planted 2 churches, when we heard that the Western Church Planting Network was hoping to find someone to plant in Aurora, we felt compelled to pray about that. I'm not exactly sure to this day what it is about Aurora. I think it was just God's call. It is the most diverse city in all of Colorado. It's the 3rd largest city in Colorado. And there's one PCA church in Aurora for over 400,000 people. And it needs 3 church planters, not just 1.
The Lord just kind of enlarged our heart to be praying about the people of Aurora. And we thought, we are crazy. Why would we plant a 3rd time? And so we went back to some of our mentors and we asked them to talk us out of this crazy idea so we could just be comfortable where we were in the church that we were working at. And they said, no, we think if the Lord is placing this on your heart, you should lean into it. So then we went to the next kind of people that we thought would slow us down. We went to our 2 oldest daughters who had been a part of our first 2 church plants and said, what do you think about this? Would you pray about it? Because there's this Mission to North America vision to plant 1,000 churches in the next 10 years. We could plant a church towards the end of that and you would already be in college, or we could go now and be part of the front lines planting a church, and maybe by the end of 10 years plant another church.
When Mom and Dad asked about what we thought about church planting again, it involves a lot of praying because we've done it before, and it usually meant moving, which isn't the most fun thing in the world sometimes. It means meeting new friends and going to new places, which is a really scary thing to do. But it seemed like it was really the right thing for us to do, and it was really important. It was definitely a shock. We weren't expecting to be asked to plant another church, but we knew that we had the experience and we were able to church plant and able to grow the community of God, which God calls us to do. So the opportunity was given to us, so we took it.
What you see with Paul and Meaghan, May, and their family is you see a whole family on mission together. Paul and Meaghan are both very much a team when it comes to the work God has called them to. And interestingly enough, their kids are a part of that team and understand that. When you see that in a family, that just means the family has been blessed by churches that they've been a part of. And they're going to bring that blessing with them when they come to plant. And you do see that richly with Paul and Meaghan and the kids. When we came out here in 1987 to plant Deer Creek Church, there was 1 PCA church in Denver. Now there's over a dozen, and there are a total of 6 that are in the residency stage. So we're seeing the last 10 years, we've really begun to see fruit being born from these church planting efforts.
I think church planting specifically, why that's so ingrained in the DNA of our church is because I think being in Denver, we have a really good view toward what the future could look like of the church in the United States. And because of where we're at culturally in Denver, we see a need to return to the things that are really basic. And the essential things are evangelism, discipleship, worship, and church planting.
In our circumstance, we have a really good mother church relationship with Deer Creek. They brought us on knowing that we don't have a core group. They don't have people who live in Aurora. It's a unique situation. It's like a supported scratch plant. I still serve Deer Creek, and Deer Creek is our home church while we're here. It's about 35 minutes away. But we're gathering, and we're begging the Lord to help us gather a core group. We've had some training that's helped us develop a plan for how to meet people, but we've also found that as we go about that process, God brings people into our lives we weren't even looking for. And that's just how He works. And there are people that He clearly has called to us that He brings that we weren't expecting. For about 15 years, I felt a tinge of a call to be an Air Force Reserve chaplain. And I've had mentors show me how that could complement a pulpit ministry, even a church planting ministry. As I'm praying about networking, I'm praying about how to meet people, and having a heart too for the men and women who serve in our Air Force and Space Force and military abroad and the contractors that work there. God opened a door.
it's a family affair, honestly. Planting a church is something where we're extending our tables. Scripture calls us God's family over and over again. And sometimes the people that God gathers, just like in our own families, aren't necessarily who you would pick or choose, but He does it on purpose. And it's a beautiful thing when you go as a family and you just make your table bigger. I would say that there is a lot of pressure for any ministry child. But I do think for church planting families, there is an added pressure because your home is an extension of the church. And so we're letting people into almost every nook and cranny of our lives.
If I were to give advice to a church planting family, I think I would probably say to make sure your kids feel heard in the process, making sure they feel like they have a place they can talk and that they feel supported is important for the whole family, because it really does take every single hand. Even if it's a hand of a very small child who's like 5 years old, it always takes everyone. So making sure that they know that they are important in that work, that they can help and they should help, I think that's really important.
Your children are definitely going to be a part of the equation, and you should consider their needs and what they're going to experience, and also allow them to contribute to the church plant, because it takes a whole army.
I think this time around, saying yes to a third church plant was partly because there are more resources that we're aware of that we weren't aware of the first time around, but also our children are at a place where we know they're our first volunteers, and we could not do this without them. Just the opportunity to serve together. You know, it's wonderful when you serve with volunteers, but when you serve with your children and you see them have a heart for not only just attending church, but being a part of the church, that's really a game changer for us. And I think that's part of why we leaned in a little bit more enthusiastically this time around, just to say, what would it be like if this really did happen? What would God do? Not through us, but through them. In the ways you get to see your kids love your neighbors. And that neighborly love is really, aside from the vertical love of God receiving that, extending the love of God to our neighbors, that's really our heart and our mission as a family. And so it's really fun to get to do that again.